another episode of Most Likely to Succeed. I have another special guest with me here today, and I will let him do the grand honor of introducing himself.
I go by the name of Matt Winn. I am a teaching artist, creative entrepreneur, executive producer out here in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, talk about
born
it.
and raised out here.
And so that's who he is. And this episode definitely was planned. It's something I've been wanting to do. I reached out to him a couple of weeks back and asked if he would stop by the show and share his story. As I shared in my first episode, my dream job, he's already pretty much doing that. He's making waves and doing that. So as you guys know, 9 to 5, I work in law. And so this is an update for him too, because you're probably like, I don't know what's going on in Mel's life. But my aspiration is to work in the music industry in A&R. And so he's been doing that for a minute on his own. He's made strides and made connections throughout the city, statewide and international. So yeah, I wanted him to stop by the show just to share his journey, share his background, what got him started in what he does now, even on the teaching side. I want you to talk about that as well. But what really motivated him to pursue his own platform, and I'll let him name the name of his company and all that stuff.
Where you want to start it?
When did you know that music was something you wanted to pursue? Because I know you personally. I know you've had different careers over the years, but what was consistent was your love for music. What do you feel like drove that?
It's funny because the way that I grew up, kind of influenced how I started creating. Mm-hmm. In a sense of like, I had access to a computer and I had a lot of time.
Yeah.
And, just figuring out how to use it to record music, which is something I used to do back when we had a tape player with the cassette in there. Me and Gordon used to just sit in there and just make songs all day. So once I figured out how to do it on a computer, I just continuously kept doing it. And it was graduating high school that, or I would say probably my junior year going into senior year, I had finally picked a major because I was in an early college program. So,
okay, that's right.
They made sure that you picked a major that you was going to go to in college. Right. And psychology was the one I chose. But I don't know, just something about graduating high school. I just said, no, I want to go into music. And I didn't know what that looked like or what that meant. I still was going to get a degree in psychology. At least that's what I told myself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was just something that I just wanted to give it a try. Yeah. And honestly, I really wanted to help other people be in a position or not be in a position I was, which is where you're really passionate about doing something, but you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired me to start my nonprofit in my company.
I love that. And that's what stopped a lot of people. A lot of times people have these desires, these passions, but because they don't know what the end will look like I can't put a name to what I want to do. And that's another thing that I spoke about at the on my first episode, that it took me all these years to figure out exactly what I wanted to do in music. I've always had a love for it, but you tell people like I want to work in music, what the first thing they'll think? Oh, you want to be a singer?
Yeah, or a producer.
You want to be a producer, you want to be a rapper. But I discovered there's so many different avenues within the industry. And then over time, you pay attention to what your skill set is. I'm like, I'm good at organizing. I love the business aspect of things. And I also love music. Okay, maybe this is a way for me to combine the two and work behind the scenes. It doesn't always have to be in front of the camera, or you don't always have to be the lead and act. A lot of times, those are the people that are the movers and shakers, the ones that are helping present the artist and what you see. So that's a whole lane that I knew it existed, but I didn't know that could be like an actual attainable career until I started having conversations with people like you, getting connected with J-Dot and stuff. So I was like, okay, this is a reality that can come to fruition. So I'm really inspired by you. For one, he's younger than me, and he's doing like the things. Again, he didn't know the path. He didn't know exactly what it looked like, but he stayed true to that course. He stayed the course, and he figured it out. And a lot of life is just figuring out what we don't know. And I think it makes it more rewarding when we get to that place of like, now people are inviting you on. I saw him last week on somebody else's podcast. I was like, hold up, he's being booked and busy. Let me call him before he's like unavailable. But yeah, you get to that place where people are asking you to come on their show because they see that you are at this point a professional in the game. So I'm inspired by that. And I think, was that a year ago I reached out to you just wanting to connect about the whole business. I connected.
Was it a year? It felt like it was a little longer than that. Maybe it might have been. No, I think it was like 2022, right?
That might have been a while back, but then I connected to you. It was another guy that I was friends with. Hey, Chris, I haven't seen you in forever. Chris Hype.
Oh, yeah.
His stage name. I connected y'all, and that was me trying to like do something because I connected y'all. I felt like I see this skill or I see this talent in someone. And that's all A&R is, finding that talent and saying, how can I help push that forward? If it's connecting you to producers, if it's connecting you to labels, if it's connecting you to, let me clean your image up. Maybe we need to do a photo shoot, all the things. So I think with my love of just the aesthetics, I love being like a creative director. I'm like, I think I would do really, really well in this field. So you talked about how you got started, what initially drove you to it, or just where technology was at the time, kind of pushing buttons. And I mean, you even had your own studio for how long was that?
About 2.5 years.
About 2.5 years. And I think the time I actually came by your last one, you were about to close in a week or something.
Yeah.
You were about to sell it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, I just literally made it at the nick of time. So he's done so much to be at the tender age of what? 30. Oh my God. I still feel like he's like in his 20s.
I wish.
So for those that don't know, which I imagine a lot of you don't, we actually grew up together in church. So we spent a lot of time together. So to see like the trajectory of his life, and I think for anybody that's like involved in music, it's easy to, you can't discount like your love for it from church, that played a big role in it.
Yeah,
whether you're pursuing gospel or whatever, that had a major role in what we do today, just being surrounded by musicians, being surrounded by the sound of music. And for me, I put me in a position to be like, and I can speak on this because it's no shade, but because it was my church, but the church we went to, very small, and they just kind of do anything. Anybody get up and grab a mic. And so you saw the good and the bad, mostly bad examples of what music looked like. But I still knew like the dynamics within that, like the musicians or having having to go to rehearsals. I always felt like, okay, I have a bad example of this, but I want to do things excellent. I want to do things better. So that's really what pushed me in a weird way, because I don't know, sometimes I guess you can have a bad example of something and say, I want to do the complete opposite. So having that background of like singing in church, always in rehearsals, knowing that, you're going to get applauded for just doing the bare minimum, sounding a mess. I was like, imagine what that would look like if you actually honed into those skills. I started taking vocal lessons. I started being really, really serious about my craft. And I just wanted to see what the other side would look like. He said he started IRAS in... IRAS. I'm sorry, I'm saying IRS, like the government. But he started that college age?
Yeah, right after I graduated high school.
About like how you started your studios, and then even to where you are now, like being able to be a consultant for some music labels.
Yeah, so I guess after I graduated high school again, I wanted to help out other young artists to choose a path of music. And I wasn't sure how I was going to accomplish that. Originally, I started IRAS to be an award show, actually. I wanted to create like an independent version of the Grammys.
Okay.
So
I feel like I remember this.
Yes.
You just wanted to like highlight different artists locally.
Yeah. I wanted to do an award show, and I went through the all the ringers to find a venue and everything, but ultimately I couldn't get all the funding to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I kind of started doing a blog, doing the same thing, just trying to recognize artists and things in the scene. And I still used to record artists too outside of that. So I was meeting a lot of different artists. I was starting to work with them in the studio, and things just started coming together, and I started helping them put out music that we were recording.
Yeah.
And going on at the time, SoundCloud was the big thing. It was blogs and SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And this is right before streaming became the it thing for people to consume music with. But in that process, we had some records that really took off on SoundCloud. And I mean, literally almost all my artists were having like those moments. And eventually one of them got offered a record deal to a label out in the UK. And he signed it. But just that experience,
he signed it.
Yeah, he did. Those experiences just kind of like inspired me to be like, well, hey, if I can work with an artist to get them there, then I can have my own label too.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired me to start a label, was because I needed to get him back from that other label.
It was the way you said he signed it. Like he didn't even read it. He just was eager.
I mean, we all were like young, and didn't necessarily know what we were doing.
Sure.
So
you gotta learn.
Yeah, that's the only way we learned. But that's why I started the label. So it was more so out of force, but not choice.
Yeah.
But in that process of me trying to find a way for me to put out music, I ran across a company out in the Netherlands, actually, who had heard of the artist that got signed in the UK.
Okay.
And that kind of opened the door for us to start building a relationship. And now today, IRAS, we're able to do full music distribution. We partner with artists, independent artists, to help them put their music out, market their music, as well as connect, to different brands and just fulfill their vision that they want as an artist. Artist development is a big thing that's in our ethos. Personally, I believe it's a lifelong process. So regardless of where an artist is in their journey, like, through our partnership, we're exploring ways to, again, like you talked about, honing your craft and just getting better. Because, that's something that you should forever do as, a creative, because, that's the point.
Right.
I would think.
That makes so much sense. It's not like I mentioned, vocal lessons. That's not, Beyonce at her level has a vocal coach, you know? So it's never like an end thing, like I've arrived. You'll forever need that. And that sheds light on why it's so important to have people like you pushing these artists or supporting them, because they're forever going to need somebody to be in their corner. A team, somebody to read the fine prints and make sure they're not signing nothing and running away to a different country ahead of time. Not to say that it can't be done, but making sure the money is right, making sure the timing is right. Have we thought this through? So it takes that team behind the person that's so passionate about wanting to go get it to have that clear mind and say, hey, have that business savvy. Hey, maybe we need to read this. Maybe this isn't the timing. Maybe this country over this country. You have, this audience.
And I never saw myself as being that kind of person.
Yeah.
I never saw myself as like, to even start a business or like, that was never something that was like a seed that was planted in me. That's what's so funny about it.
You would say it grew just from what you were doing?
Absolutely. Because it was the studio, right? A big reason why, COVID was just happening right when I closed the studio, like literally right before. But I also got to a place where I was tired of feeling like I was putting so much into making these songs sound as great as I could, and that the artists were not capable of doing anything other than putting it out once they were done. And that kind of made me question, well, why even care to make it sound good if they can't do nothing with it?
Right.
And just that was like, all right, there's enough people that can work in the studio. They need more people that can work these songs outside of the studio. And that's when I decided to go back to Berklee to get my degree in music business. And get out of the recording side of it and just solely start focusing on the business. And that's where I've been the last 3 or so years. But it's definitely been a journey, an interesting one to say the least.
And I can only imagine, and you mentioned going back to school for that. So these dreams that we have, or this skill set that we have, it takes more to, you know, you just don't wake up and say, oh, I'm good at this. That's fine. But to really, if you're really passionate about something, investing in yourself, and you know, it may not feel like it at the time. It may feel like, I don't want to have to be in debt for this, but that is another layer of pushing you forward. That's another realm of you being believable, if that makes sense. You can walk in the room and say, okay, I have this credential behind me. And I'm not saying, you know, you have to go to school or whatever, but that makes you, it puts some fight, you know, put some fight in the game, because it positions you to be in a position to say, I got the skill set, I'm passionate about it, and I have these credentials behind me. But I think sometimes people feel like I'm owed something because I'm such a good singer, or I'm such, you know, give it to me. But it takes hard work. And that, like he mentioned, going to school, that was a personal choice for him. He saw like the need for it. He saw how it could help him, push him forward. And so even now, like me doing my own podcasting, I'm coming out of money. I'm not looking for someone to say, hey, here's some money to do your vision. It don't happen like that. You have to spend money to make it. And it's not even for this. This is a passion project. It's not about making money. I want to be able to put out what I enjoy for viewers. So it's not about like making money. That anytime you're doing something in your purpose, money will come. So that's just a byproduct of being intentional and being like obedient and being in a position to do what you're supposed to do. That's a byproduct of that. But investing in yourself, taking things to the next level, that's like where a lot of people kind of stop. They feel like, I don't want to spend money out. It's free. I had to buy all this stuff. You know, I'm the editor, I'm the marketer, I'm everything. I'm having to push play on that. So it definitely takes that second layer of investing in yourself. In school, that's a whole different beast, because that's timing, that's money. Yeah. So I think in the end, it'll pay off for sure. It'll pay off for sure. So you talked about how you transitioned to that, what got you to do what you do now. What is next for you? What do you feel like, where do you foresee your company in the next 3 to 4 years?
Yeah, so within the last 9 months or so, I've been able to cultivate and start building a team to work with. We got 5 people total now who works within my company. And just that dynamic of now being a person who is not doing everything, but now having to be the person to think about.
And I knew none of this, so I'm hearing it for the first time as well.
Yeah, so just now trying to figure out the process of delegating and being an actual CEO and what that looks like, leading people is something totally different that I did not have any skills or anything to do. Yeah. So, you know, I'm kind of learning that process.
Yeah, you said it's different, but is it hard to delegate? Is it hard to relinquish control?
Yeah, and it's not even so much. It's I'm in it full time, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so I have people that are dedicating their part time, their hard time, you know, their free time to helping me fulfill this vision because they believe in it. Yeah, you know, so there's only so much you can even ask of them to begin with. So you know, you got to think of, well, how can I delegate but still, you know, have to take care of this other part of it as well. So you know, it is very it's a delicate dance. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I can say. Mm-hmm. And you know, sometimes we step on each other's toes trying to figure it out. But you know, as long as we're in it together, I really see in the next 3 to 4 years us being able to be that company where if I'm an independent artist and I want to get my music out, I want to connect to an actual artist, and I want to develop, you know, my actual skill sets along the way, I'm going to go work with IRAS because they believe in, you know, that mission. And we're not apps. You know, most people put their music out through DistroKid or, you know, they want to be signed to these major labels, but they don't necessarily have enough to leverage to get those types of deals. And the things that they need, you know, they can't even foresee or have the vision on well, how do I put these things together? That's where we kind of step in and being like that intermediary company between, an artist, again, no matter where they are on their journey, whether they're just starting or whether they're an artist who's been doing it for 40 years and want to do it a different way or want to connect differently. Yeah. We're the company that they come and work with.
Yeah, I love that. And again, I am super inspired by what you do. I'm taking notes behind the scenes. I'm like watching. They say the best, what is it? The best compliment is like when somebody, I'm not stealing stuff from you, but imitation.
Oh, yeah.
Imitation is the biggest form of flattery.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely flattered and take a lot of notes from this guy because he's doing it. And I'm just waiting on the day where it all pays off. It's already paying off for him. I think we don't have to wait to see you on the Grammys or for you to get one. We're seeing the work now. And that's, to me, what's inspiring, to see the, person that's getting it from the mud, so to speak. Seeing the person doing it from the ground up without the biggest bag, without the biggest team behind them. Right.
No bag.
He's like, what bag? Well, without that whole team behind him, where there's a will, there's a way. So he's inspired me for a long time to do that. And I'm trying not to think of the end game. I'm just trying to be in the now and know, one, this is something I love. And they say, pursue what you love and what you see yourself doing for free. That's your passion. So I figured that out, like I said, about a year ago, where I was like, I could do this for free. I literally do this on a day-to-day basis. So to be in that position is a very rewarding feeling. But I appreciate you for coming by today.
Yeah,
if you want to give your information, your company, your IG and all that, so people can follow you, let them stay connected.
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me at ITSMSAW on all social media platforms. You also can follow my company, IRAS, and that's spelled IRAS, Inc., INC, on all platforms as well. And yeah, stay connected with us. We have so much going on. We have a workshop coming out next month. Actually, we're going to be doing those throughout the rest of the year, but next month will be our first one. I got showcases coming, and of course, more artists to introduce.
I love that.
Out the city, so yeah.
I love that. And of course, you guys can stay connected to me. My personal IG, Mel3_ Raquel, RAQUEL, and our new podcast. We have our own page as well there, so definitely stay tapped into that. But thank you for coming by today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
We'll have to do another one once life slows down. This month is the end of. Oh, I don't want to tell them what month we in because I said I wasn't going to talk about months. But life is busy. We have some important things coming up next month. So we'll definitely bring him back whenever he would like to. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode. I will see y'all later. Bye.